Hey guys, Tyler from Gaming here, doing video on the Retro Engine Sigma. As you can see, I've gotten mine. I've had some time to play around with it, so I figured I'd give you. I got the blue one. You get on the back, their logo, two USB ports, the two buttons. P1 you can use as a power shutdown button. P2 I haven't really looked on how to configure it. In the back here, you're getting your HDMI, your micro SD card, and your power slot, and also an extra spot for the expansion cable USB. You get a third USB port. So, unfortunately, that's hooked up somewhere else. They give you, in my case, a little stick to put the SD card in, so you can plug it in your computer for setup. Bluetooth adapter, which I haven't had any luck. I've got to look into some guys trying to set it up for the controller I got, which is like a pretty much like a DualShock 3 that they've rebranded with the button and say Retro Engine RE. Anyone who's played this or 6-axis or a DualShock 3 PlayStation 3 controller knows what I mean. For right now, I have to use it wired via cable. The other controller option that I got, like a 6-pad Genesis button, not bad. I found mostly just use this at the moment. So anywho, I'm just going to quickly, give me 2 seconds to plug this in, turn it on, and give you my thoughts. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to give you my thoughts until we actually see some stuff. Quickly turn on the TV. I'm recording this at my parents', so I'm using my laptop. I know it's not as good as my desktop for this kind of thing, so I do apologize, or else I would have used like the capture card for this. So. It starts off with this. You get the little guitar riff sound and the Retro Engine logo. When you, while I'm letting it load up here, one of the things they promised in the campaign here was plug and play, and it was ready to go. It really was not. When I got it, and as you may have seen, you see there, you're using emulation station. I kind of figured that, but it's a retro Orange Pi, so they're using an Orange Pi instead of a custom board. So really falls in with the lies they were telling. They said it was easy setup and just plug and play. How you set this thing up is once you put the SD card in, you plug it in, and it goes Retro Sigma. You have to grab my phone here. You have to use your phone or a computer maybe, even connect to the wireless network it creates. Then put in your own wireless network information from the phone on to the device so it connects in, then asks you, do you want to do the full install or small setup? I did a full install of the emulators, which took on my parents' internet around an hour, hour and a half, like hour 15. Quite can't figure out the time, so I don't know how long. But then loaded me to emulation station here. A few things. I'm going to go to the PlayStation emulator here. I'm using Crash Team Racing, as we all know. I own a copy of it, so I don't feel too bad about emulating it because they're legality issues. One thing they said, it was just plug and play, and you'd be able to play these. I had to for Crash Team Racing. I'm just gonna lower the volume here so you can hear me. You had to get a BIOS for the PlayStation to get it to work. So I had to do a little research of how to get to that to work. I was kind of expecting, but I kind of figured it would all just work. But when I found out I had to set the device up myself, it's almost like setting up a RetroPie. And it's running the same damn thing as the RetroPie. I've had a RetroPie with a Raspberry Pi 2, so I'm a little more used to it than others. But when you're paying for that convenience, it's kind of sad that it doesn't work. I'm just going to back out here. I haven't got the Bluetooth working, nor have I been able to get the thumbsticks on the controller here working for PlayStation games. So it's kind of sad. I figure there's probably some configure even on RetroPie. I have stuff like N64 emulation. I'm only testing with one ROM at the moment. Hasn't been too bad. Overall, the emulation isn't bad, but I don't think is really nothing to glare at. Especially since these are quite old games, some of these. So I'm just showing you how it works. Use the start and select button on controllers together and brings you back to the emulation station. But unlike a normal RetroPie, how it works is a RetroPie, if you put a thumbstick in for a couple minutes, it creates the folders for where you dump the ROMs into, and it can copy it. I can't do that on how this works. How this one works, I have to manually press start, go into applications, I'm not going to go into it, but desktop, and load a desktop copy from a thumbstick to it. And you can't use the controllers because you got to use keyboard and mouse. One thing that I found very, very odd is the GBA emulator. I seem to can't find it. But other ROMs, like Mega Man X, I actually own the cartridge. I'm not going to go run out and grab it. But any Super Nintendo ROMs I've had, can't get them to work. That's why you show multiple copies of some ROMs, because I'm trying to get them to play. It just immediately goes back. I've had nothing work, nor can I find GBA. I got Game Boy Color, and they're working. Heck, even the Sega Game Gear. So I'm kind of really miffed and peed that something we backed and we spent a lot of money as the backers of this. So this is the first project I've ever backed on Indiegogo. I've never kickstarted anything, but to have backed something and get a lot less than what you expected and what they were promising, they did a lot of updates. What they could have updated us all and let us know that, hey, we're having a lot more problems with this. And I would have, this took longer to get out than they initially kind of said for the early backers. I wasn't one of the early ones. But you could have communicated, and someone like me, I would have been okay with if they told me, yeah, we're having a lot more problems than we are, and this may not work the way we want, and we could probably fix it if you give us X amount of time. I would have had no problem doing that. But not having that communication or dialogue is where I get mad, because it just looks like we got the cash and run. So for anyone that's looking at the arcade units that they have for sale, I would definitely not recommend it, because if you're going to do that amount of work and setup, you might as well go to Amazon or one of the other dealers, get a Raspberry Pi 3, get a micro SD card while you're on the way, because it gives you, in the bundle I got for my Raspberry Pi 2, I got like an 8 gig card and a bunch of shit, and then just bought controllers, third-party great Super Nintendo controllers. I would have rather, you're better off getting a micro SD card while you're waiting for your Pi to ship. Load up the emulation station. When you get the Pi, put it into the Pi, and go. It's going to take a little work, but I find it's a little easier than Retro Engine Sigma. I really am disappointed. I will be playing along with it more often to see how it, maybe with a lot more work in configuring, it'll work better. But as of right now, I would not recommend it. If I figure out some stuff that I think may be helpful, I may make some tutorial videos. Some people already have earlier in this month of August, but yeah, I just pressed the P1 to show it powers down. This has been Tyler from BurlyCast Gaming, signing off. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.